He's a self-made man. He's a self-made man.
We're in the London studios of Derek Pearce. Derek's created a very unusual combination of a living sculpture and a song called The Self-Made Man, and we're here to find out how it came about. Derek, what came first, the song or the sculpture, and where did the idea come from?
The idea came like 10 years ago. First of all, the idea for the sculpture came, and then I was doing some recording with Graham Taylor, and I was thinking actually it would be a good idea for a song. The piece is called The Self-Made Man. So the idea was to have a man carving himself out of a tree trunk. It's a literal idea based on the phrase the self-made man. Most people get what that means, and so I've just done a literal interpretation of it.
So you said that the original idea came to you 10 years ago. So what kept it in your head for 10 years, and what suddenly made it pop out of your head and do something about it recently?
I mean, I get ideas for things all the time, and I play with words, and I play with ideas for songs and ideas for making things. When the opportunity came up to do it in the park, I remembered it.
You mentioned the park. How does the park come into this?
I know some of the people who live by the park, and it was a very forward-looking specialist at the council, the tree officer, and there was a tree in the park that was struggling basically, and it was quite a mature maple tree, but it wasn't getting enough moisture, it wasn't really surviving, but she didn't just want to cut it down, so they cut all the branches off and left the tree trunk. It's about 12 foot high. She put out an email saying, has anybody got any ideas? And some friends of mine down there said, oh, you need Derek for that. So we met up, and I said, look, I've got this idea, I'd love to do this. So she said, yes, I'll have to get approval. And so during the time of her asking for approval, I made the model, which is a half-size piece, so that I could show them what it was going to be like, basically. And they took that and put it in the Civic Centre, and it was there for 6 weeks. And they took a kind of public consultation on it. We got a positive reaction of 96% from the public. So the council thought, well, we've got to do this.
So you've now got the council's stamp of approval. You've now actually got to deliver this thing. So how did you go about carving this thing out of a living or semi-dead tree trunk in the park?
Okay, well, that's when the problems start, of course. It was 12 foot high in the air, so I had to get scaffolding. And the council, what they did was they got the guys in, they put a big cage around me so I could work in safety. So I worked in there for 6 weeks. And what was interesting about the whole project was the effect it had on the local population, because the park's used by people as a shortcut through to the station, and people walking the dogs and kids playing on the playing area. Young kids were fascinated, and they came by every day and say, one child said to his mother, can we go and see the man in the tree today? And they were fascinated. They were also fascinated by this big cage around me, and the question was, how do you get out of the cage? A very good friend of mine lived up the road who saw the funny side of it, and he used to pop down with coffee every day and poke a banana through the cage. The actual carving took a bit longer than I anticipated because of the hardness of the wood, and it's quite tricky, standing on the top of scaffolding with a chainsaw going, have I got the ear in the right place? You can't take a step back and look at it. It progressed slowly, and what was interesting, the local population saw it happening slowly, and they loved the idea that this was happening in their park. And it's not like it's Henry Moore, and they made this lovely bronze piece and plonked it in the middle of the park. It's the part of this tree that grew there, and so it's a bit intriguing and it's a bit novel. And also, this connects, you see, also with the song, because on the tree I have a barcode, a QR code, which you can scan with your smartphone, and you get the song, The Self-Made Man.
The song The Self-Made Man, is it autobiographical, and does it have any message for current problem times?
I don't look at it as being autobiographical particularly. Some people think that it is. It's just an observation, really. People have different ideas about being entrepreneurs. And there's an element of, we love to hate them. I haven't met anybody who likes Alan Sugar yet. But, he came up with a good idea and he made a lot of money on it. There's a lot of luck involved. And I think Some people kind of resent that. And so a bit of this comes out in the song. You know, we all love to hate them. The present situation, the lockdown thing, has changed a lot of people. I've got a quote for you which comes from a song I recorded a couple of years ago. The human hand reveals the mind and shows us what makes humankind. The hand that makes with pride, and those who make are rich inside. And making helps the mind to wander and takes you to the wild blue yonder. So there you go.
Derek Pearce, thank you very much.
He's a self-made man. He's a self-made man. In spite of everything, he's a self-made man.